evening, everyone. It's March 1st, and this week on the Team Rivals podcast, we're going to talk about Arrieta, Lynn, and Moose. How much longer are these guys going to remain baseball Wraiths? Pete has a conspiracy theory, and I can't wait to talk about that. Oz ranks the deal with the Padres. Braden's happy because O signed somewhere else. And Pete and I are going to take inventory of our old man dislike of anything proposed to change our game. All that and more, the Team Rivals podcast starts right now.
Smith corks one in the right down the line. It may go. So crazy, folks. So crazy. There's one drive. Way back. It's good lead. Playing a high drive in the left. Back towards the tree. He's at the track. He has it. The world champion from 2011. Bounces slowly toward right. He will glove it to Rizzo. It's in time, and the Chicago Cubs win the World Series.
This is the Team of Rivals podcast. No insiders, no anonymous sources, just passionate analysis from the bleacher seats. Here are your hosts, Ron Nuttall and Peter Geddes.
All right, folks, welcome back to the show. It's March 1st. Pete, so I got a call last night, and it came a day later. So this boy is not – he's not minute to minute with the latest on the baseball news. So I got a call last night, led in by a celebratory woo-hoo, as only a 12-year-old could produce that.
I know where you're going.
You know where I'm going with this. And so he was thrilled to learn that a certain closer that donned the Cardinal red last year will now be donning bird colors, but they will be blue. So he was happy to know that he won't have to tune in to watch O have a rocky, shaky ninth inning for a second year in a row. So anyway, that's how my evening was capped off last night. It always seems to be a kid that's either capping off a weekend or a night with interesting news. And I guess when you have as many as I do, the probability that will happen to me is much higher. So anyway,
the one thing I would caution Braden is don't give up on the possibility of a midseason trade as the Cards are making a push for the playoffs. And they determine that Sun Wong Oh is the missing piece that will bring them to the championship promised land. He's got prestige value.
Yeah, he has that. He has that as the final boss, as they referred to him in Japan. But he certainly lost that. He lost the luster of that title last year. But that kid just cracks me up because he was about a day late, though. I expected it a day earlier. I almost wish he would have called tonight. I know that's how timing would work out. I wish it would have too. So you're on the road. Elliot is at a function, so I'm the only one in a familiar setting tonight. But you don't sound too bad. I know you can't bring your stuff with you because that's that mic alone. I think puts your bag past the TSA weight limit. Pretty sure.
It does. Yeah. And if I put it in my carry-on, I have no room for anything else.
You know, and it was guess
Hello?
Guess what? Hang on a second. Here he is. You might get a hot take here, folks.
Hey,
buddy.
am I on?
Yeah, you're on right now.
You're on.
We just covered your story. Breaking news?
The greatest news in baseball history.
Which is?
Chuango's headed out of St. Louis. Yeah. I've already packed his suit. I'll pack a suitcase for him.
I'm sure he's already packed it. I'm sure he already packed it at the end of September last year, right at the beginning of October. I'm sure he's already done that.
I will buy him a plane ticket if he needs it.
I think I'm pretty sure they had to fly him up there for physical, turn your head, cough, all that stuff. Braden, you'll learn about. You'll learn about as you age.
I don't want to ever see him in the city of St. Louis ever again.
Okay. I think you've professed your
What if it's the Blue Jays versus the Cardinals in the World Series? Would it be okay if he's there then?
I'll have to pass that. Hold on. Pete asked you a question. You weren't able to hear him because I don't have a mic going into the iPad. But so Pete asked you, Braden, how are you gonna feel when it's the Cardinals and the Blue Jays in the World Series and they goes out there in the ninth inning to final boss music, some old Nintendo score. What's a Nintendo score for boss music? Would it be something off Mortal Kombat or something like that?
Well, if it's a tie game and O comes in the ninth, in the ninth inning, I will already get a shirt that says World Series champion Cardinals because I know he'll just blow it anyway.
So what you're saying is that all the T-shirts and stuff they printed are not going to go to some other country as a donation. You're pretty confident that they're putting O in there. So okay. So Braden, I got to ask you this question. I want you to be honest with me. Did you hear us talking about you before you called in?
No.
You weren't on. You weren't angling to get your voice on the airwaves.
No, I actually was not listening. I was about to, but I didn't know if you guys were live yet.
Oh, we are. We are live right now. So okay, so we got your hot take on that. As much as we got your hot take last year, last year was much more emotions weaved in your call last year. I enjoyed that one. So, all right.
And guess what the Blue Jays are doing? Guess what?
What?
They are taking the Cardinals' old experiments that didn't work. They think that they can fix what the Cardinals did with Grichuk and Diaz. It's not going to work, Blue Jays fans. Don't get your hopes up. I'm telling you, next season, you're going to go through my misery. And I'm very sorry because I had to go through the same thing last season. Okay? It's going to suck. You're going to live through it. And you're going to hate every single player that used to be on the Cardinals that wins your team.
Speaking
Hey, Braden, I got a question. Hey,
well,
Braden, I wouldn't necessarily rule out the possibility of the Cardinals making a mid-season addition and going back to the well with the Blue Jays and bringing any one of those three back. How would you feel about that?
No. Just no. Just no.
All right, big boy. We'll have to let you go. We have to continue on here.
Okay.
But thank you for giving all the fan base here your hot take on. I think most of them who had been listening were well aware of how you felt about.
Well, it should be a holiday. leave St. Louis.
Yep. Okay.
Happening. It's happening.
All right, bud. Love you.
Love you too.
Talk to you tomorrow. Bye.
All right. Bye.
Oh, there we go. I don't know if he's a brutally honest kid. So if that were me, I would have heard my dad talking about me, and I would have angled to get my voice and my hot take captured somewhere.
Into us.
Yeah, he might be. All right. So I kind of forgot where we were at the moment, but so
we had just gotten into it.
So Pete, do you want to share with anybody where the hell you're at?
Yeah,
it looks like a nice room they put you up in, though. That's good.
Yeah, it's not terrible. I'm at an activities director convention out here in the littlest big city in the world, Reno, Nevada.
That's one location I have not been to. I've been to the big city many times, but never there.
I had never been here before, and from what I understand, there's not much to see outside of here. That's not what I'm saying. That's what everybody else I'm here with is saying. But
gotcha.
We're at a resort that obviously it's in Nevada, so there's a casino and there's a nightclub and a theater and everything. So there's really not much reason to leave the property. So I haven't seen the sun in 3 days, which is just how they want it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I had been there. Gosh, you know what? Really, the last time I'd been there, it was actually a business trip, and it wasn't what you think. I stayed in the city only one night, and then was bussed out to it was a leadership training course, and it was run rather military like, which wasn't a shock to my system. But it was the design of it was to put you out of your comfort zone and make you feel weird and That was what it was designed for. You had to wear like a little kid's backpack. Like in my case, I think it was like a Rainbow Bright, something like that. Like you had to walk with that thing through the airport, and you kind of felt odd. And anyway, that's what the whole thing was designed for. It was odd. That was my last Vegas experience. Was nothing like my previous Vegas experiences. But okay, so you are in. Is your climate? No, it gets passed on from whoever gets sent.
Okay.
So I had to turn that over to somebody else. I was glad to.
So you were asking about the climate.
I had about the climate. It has to be warmer there, I'm assuming. We think desert. We always think hotter than it is here.
Incorrect, sir.
No. Chilly?
You have to remember that that Reno is at altitude.
Mm-hmm.
I do have a lovely view from, you obviously can't see it tonight because it's, night. But I have a lovely view of the mountains and the snow-covered mountains. They're supposed to get 3 to 5 feet on Friday night. And no, I didn't misspeak. It's not 3 to 5 inches. It's 3 to 5 feet. And it was really disappointing flying out here because it was 60 degrees on Tuesday. And when I landed, it was 32. So, we've gone from unseasonably warm to, Chicago weather. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, how about before we get into the baseball talk here, we got a little bit of business to take care of. So,
oh, you're right.
We do.
We got Zazzle back up again.
We think. Yeah.
So far, so good.
I'll try to explain that. There was an issue with printing our full color logo. Hopefully we've got that resolved. It's actually live again. And if you are interested in any of our shirts, you can visit that. Just go to Zazzle.com and you can search, use a little search icon and just plug in Team of Rivals podcast. Don't leave any spaces between the words, and you should be able to find our location. I've not put it back up on the website yet. I want to make sure that we get at least, I think, 5 to 7 days into this before I'll put it back up there. But we ran into a complication with the full color logo. They weren't able to print that one. So I had to take everything down temporarily, but that does not stop us from what we need to do tonight. That will not stop me from giving away 3 shirts to 3 folk who liked, who shared, and who are following us now on our Team of Rivals podcast Facebook page. So thank you so much. That we got a great response to that, and great comments about the video. The boys cooperated way better than what I thought. In fact, it was a miracle that they stayed out of frame for 30 seconds. Anyway, so they did well. They did well for being hyper on a Sunday afternoon. But we're going to get into that drawing here in a little bit. But before we do that, Pete, where is everybody going to be able to find us?
Well, it depends on where they look.
No.
Well, tonight, right now, at this moment, you can find Elliot in Green Bay. An official word is in that he is not going to make it back for the show. So it's just going to be you and I tonight, my friend. Me, you can find in Reno, Nevada. There aren't many places to look, so just wander around for resort, casino, and you'll find me. But I know that Ron is referring to where you can find us online. Obviously, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Team of Rivals Pod on Twitter, and then for Instagram and Facebook, Team of Rivals Podcast. The most important place to find us is the website, teamofrivalspodcast.com. There you can find links to everything, social media, email links to contact us. You'll eventually be able to find a link to Zazzle, our team merchandise store.
It will go back up.
And you'll also be able to find links to all of the various ways that you can access this podcast, whether it's through audio or video. And with that, let's roll, man. We need to pick ourselves some winners.
Yeah, we do. And before we do that, one more thing. One more piece of business here. I do want to thank Cardinals Nation, the Facebook group by Cardinals Nation 24/7. The support we've seen there has been it's been huge, and we get a lot more people talking about the podcast. I know the downloads have been way up. The views on the YouTube channel have been up. So thank you all so much for supporting us, and thank you, Chris Lawless, for helping us to get the word out there. He's been instrumental. And one more thing I'd like to mention tonight, and that is, I lied. 2 more things. One is that Chris asked me to help him out as an admin on the Cardinals Nation Facebook group, and I'm very happy to support him in that effort. I know he's grown that thing. It's huge. There's it's amazing how many likes and how many requests they get to join the group in a day. It's just really makes your head spin. So proud to be a member of that group now. And last thing, but most important thing, I want to say happy birthday to my 7-year-old boy. 7 today, which is time is just, my goodness, it's flown by. So, and then, what's funny is next week I'll be saying the same thing about Braden, who you just got the Sungwon Oh hot take from. He will be an official teenager 1 week from tonight. So tonight it's Sam. He's 7. Can you believe that, Pete? Right? I was going to your bachelor party days after he was born.
I remember sleeping on your couch when I was heading down to Bloomington for meetings when Braden was a baby.
Yeah.
Man, it's been a long time.
It has been a long time, man. It has been a long time. But anyway, so okay, that's the biz. We're done with that. So now we got to talk about some baseball. So and the shirts will come, folks. The shirts will come. So remaining free agents, we've got to get this one in because we actually skipped over this last episode, and I think we were kind of tired of talking about. It sounded like a broken record every week, but so we have free agents. We have let's just talk about the big 3 for right now. We know there are still several more guys like Jonathan Lucroy that still remained unsigned, but the big ones are the ones I think we need to touch on here, and that's Arrieta, Lynn, and I guess you'd have to say Moustakas, right? Those are the 3.
Well, and Alex Cobb still hasn't signed, right?
Alex Cobb, of course. Yes. Yeah. So, Pete, you had a theory on this, which I read over your text really fast at first, and I thought you had meant a year, and you actually meant just the beginning of the year. And so once you said that, I'm like, yeah, I could see that element of just vindictiveness coming out, and that fine, I'll stick you with a loss of a compensatory pick. So please, I don't want to reveal too much. So please launch into that theory you had, because I think it's fantastic.
Well, I don't know how legit it is. And the funny thing is that I think it's
not. There's no legitimacy to it. It's just us thinking because we get bored because it's spring training and we do stupid shit like this.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
So after I finished texting with you and Elliot and we kind of chatted it out, I thought about it and did it apply to the rest of the free agents who are still remaining? And I don't think so. I just don't see that, one, being in their nature, and two, I don't see the teams that let them go, with maybe the exception of Moustakas, but I don't think it doesn't strike me that this would apply to him. The teams that extended them QOs and then let them walk, I don't think they were planning on bringing them back, and I think that was probably made pretty clear. So this doesn't apply to really anybody else except Jake Arrieta. And here was the theory, and I don't know that I necessarily believe it, but I could see it happening. My understanding is that if a player, a free agent, signs after the first game of the season, so after the regular season starts, the team that they were with previously, who had extended them a qualifying offer, loses that compensatory draft pick. They do not get the compensation pick after that. And so then I started to think, is Jake Arrieta enough of a dick that he would wait to sign until after the first day of the season just to spike the Cubs for basically driving down his free agent market? That he went to Boris and said, you know what, fuck them. I'm going to, damn it. I was trying not to get us an explicit rating on this episode, but it's already too late.
Yeah.
That he said, fuck them. We're not signing until after the first game of the season. I will stay in tip-top shape. It's only going to take me a couple of minor league starts in order to ramp up, or extended free spring training in order to ramp up.
Yeah.
And take away that compensatory pick after what is it, second round B or whatever, just so that the Cubs don't get that pick.
Did you ever see the Seinfeld episode when Kramer was test driving cars and they kept driving even though the tank was empty? I could just almost see those two in the car, Boris and Arrieta, just holding each other's hands and going, how far can we go? How far can we go? It's interesting when you after you corrected me, because I didn't read it right the first time. I'm like, yeah, I could see that happening, and of course that reason for doing that would never be revealed, but I could totally see that. I couldn't see that with the other one, so I'm with you there too.
Well, and it actually makes me think of another Seinfeld episode. That's the one where Jerry goes to return the jacket because he purchased it under false pretenses, because the only reason the guy said he looked good in the jacket was to get Elaine's number. So he goes to return it, and the guy says, "May I ask why you're returning this?" For spite. Right? There's no
Right.
logical reason for Arrieta not to side with somebody. He's just doing it out of spite.
I like that too, but I also would love the image of Boris and Jake in his flat bill hat and beard, holding hands, hollering at the gas got the gas gauge on the car. How far can we take this thing before something bad happens? But I don't know exactly what the situation is or what the rules are. I'm not sure. If you wait till after the first game of the year, because I know at one point in time, like, you couldn't sign till after June 1st. I don't know why that's in my mind. We both have day jobs, man. None of us were researching this today. We don't. If we did this for a living, we might have the answer, but we don't do it for a living. We do it for free. That's now.
Right. And that's why you don't get insider.
That's why you don't get in-depth analysis before every show. You're not going to get it.
And that's why you get a lot of. I think I'm pretty sure I read somewhere.
I seem to remember. But there were guys in cases like Clemens who didn't sign it until into the year, and others who like you couldn't sign with the team until a certain point if you held out long enough. And that maybe it's probably changed. I just haven't kept up with that because it doesn't happen all that often. Should have kept up with it though, in anticipation that some of these guys, once it got to late January, this was going to run a lot longer. Right. But I'm still surprised. Now we hear that the Nationals have reached out, which is kind of going full circle to where we thought this was all going to end up anyway, right?
Right. The Washington Borises are not done yet.
Nope, they're never done. As long as Scott Boras has a pulse and Mike Rizzo's the GM, I mean, that door is always going to be open, man.
It's got nothing to do with Rizzo. As long as the learners on that team.
Oh well, you're right, because Boras doesn't have to talk to GMs, right? He goes straight to the top.
Talk to GMs, right? He goes right to the owner, and the owner then calls the GM and says, "Hey, we're going to sign Jake Arrieta." Although I have to say that would be a scary playoff rotation.
It would be, and you know what? If you just browse the stats, I had time to do it before we went on tonight. Just looking at team stats and spring training, we can talk about spring training as we move along here. We know we don't. You or I are on the same page. We don't put a lot of stock in what we see in numbers there, or even really results. But if you do look at the ERA by Washington just through spring, I mean, they are out in front of everybody, and that's looking at all of baseball, not just the National League. But yes, I agree with you. Looking at a rotation, as soon as you plug him in there. That's a gauntlet of a pitching staff.
Yeah, especially in a short series.
Right. Good luck, right?
Yeah.
Well, you know what? If they're desperate enough to get one last run in there while they still know they have Harper, I wouldn't put it past them to do it.
And it's not just Harper. Don't they have a couple of guys who are going to be leaving, including Rizzo? Rizzo's in his walk year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who off the top of my head who else that they would need to or that's in their walk year, but I would think the big one is while you still have Harper there, you take this one last huge swing to make something happen there. Now, the minute they do that, though, the minute they take on one more big, large contract, Gio Gonzalez, I think, was another big name that's in there last year. But the minute you absorb another huge contract, is that kind of already sending the signal that But what do you do when you're in that position? I'd be inclined, because I think there are going to be at least, I think, two organizations going after him hard. I mean, people have thrown out arguments of why the Dodgers wouldn't, but I wouldn't put them past them that they would. And obviously the Cubs. I don't know about New York, but I don't know. I don't know enough about New York whether they would be in that mix or not. They usually are at some point. So I think the Nationals know the deck is really stacked against them. So I wouldn't be shocked if they say, you know what, screw it. We're going to go for it this year. Push all of our cards in the middle of the table. This is it. And he ends up in a Nationals uniform.
Absolutely. I can absolutely see it happening, and I would have no qualms with them doing that because it would make sense. It would. Like while the iron's hot.
Because they are the Buffalo Bills of the division series.
They absolutely are.
Right.
Absolutely.
And I would think that with as much talent as they've had and the names that they've had, they want to get that monkey off their back. So this might be their last shot to do it. Now, in regards to Lance Lynn, I'm starting to think and hear that this might be a destination for could be a Minnesota, could be a Milwaukee. those two places seem to make a whole lot of sense for him. I know there was
Yeah,
Baltimore that was thrown in there too.
You can't think that Milwaukee is going into, if they're serious about making a run for the Central Division, you can't think that they're going into the season with their rotation in the state it's in.
No, you'd have to think Cobb or Lynn have to be in that mix there, because I believe I'd put a paycheck down on Arrieta going to the Nationals right now. Easy.
Yeah.
Sarah might not like that, but
all right, let's see. So you're looking at Daniel Murphy is going to be a free agent.
okay.
Murphy will be a free agent, obviously.
I really forget
Harper.
that he signed such a short-term deal there.
I know,
You know,
because he couldn't get a deal.
yeah.
You know, and then and
But who's his agent? Who's his agent?
Right.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. So I could see, and it seems to me, I can't find it right now, but it seems to me that there is maybe one or two other guys who may be coming up for them. And so I think, Gio Gonzalez is going to be a free agent, right?
Yep, he's the
so
other one, right.
you know, you're looking at the potential that they may have some big empty spaces to fill out. Sean Doolittle has a $6 million club option, so he could be gone at the end of the year. So, you know, why not strike while the iron's hot, while you've got this team and you've got what is already a really good rotation, load it up and go for it. Can't blame him.
Nope.
If he doesn't land there.
Me either. All right. So if we have some people watching here, we do. I'm going to go ahead and you mind? Can we do this? Can we do this shirt thing? Let's do the shirt thing right now.
Okay.
All right.
You want to go ahead? Why don't you take the first one?
I got it. Hey, folks, they're all in here. And by the way, I got to say this. I ordered one hat off the site. All right. Now, let me tell you this. I put this on my head. Folks, do not buy this. This is the dumbest fitting hat I've ever seen in my life. If you saw this on my head, it looks ridiculous. I look like a damn Lego character.
Because it's a trucker hat.
I know, but no, this is no. I've seen trucker
Put it
hats.
on.
I know it's no. I'm not going
Put
to.
it on.
No,
You got Ron.
no.
Put it on.
You can't make me do it. You're in Reno. I'm not doing it. Anyway, the names are in here. Everybody who liked, shared, followed. See that? Right there. I'm going to draw one. This is completely clean. No tomfoolery here. Hold on. Let me hold it up, right? We got to prove this. All right. No tomfoolery here. I'm just going to, I like to fish around a little bit. I'm going to draw one name. I got one. I'm going to reveal it. Okay. Judy Pierce. You are the first winner. Judy Pierce.
Congratulations, Judy.
Judy Pierce.
So here's what we're going to have you do. Since everybody who is entered in this contest is on Facebook, go ahead and send us a direct message within Facebook with your shipping address and details, and we will take care of getting that out to you.
Yep.
All right.
Hit me up through the, yep.
Okay. So now,
Pete,
since I was unprepared to print out names and then put them in a hat, I have a hat. I don't know. Were you able to see this hat?
Get the hell back from the camera. Yes, we see it. Okay.
I just wanted to make sure that you saw that I had a hat tonight.
Yeah, we have like we have 11 of those. That's cool. All right.
You have 11. You have 11 Cubs World Champions hats. That's awesome, Ron. My respect.
No, we have 11 World Champions.
Anyway.
Draw a fucking name. Let's go.
Anyway, so what I did is I used a random number generator in order to select the number from 1 through 30 in order to select our second winner. And so our second winner right here, it's written out.
Yep.
It's written out right here. I'm going to hold it up to the camera so that you can see that it's legitimate. But our second winner right here, Tim Smith.
Yeah, Tim.
You're going to be getting yourself a T-shirt.
Damn it. Okay, funny. Here's what's funny about that. And I know you don't know him, Pete. I know you don't know Tim, but I know Tim.
I don't.
I know Tim. And the funny thing about Tim, so Tim liked and he shared. He did it. He qualifies for it. Now,
Are
Tim.
we going to be accused of malfeasance?
No.
Okay.
But we could be. I mean, somebody could think this is really fishy here. But Tim Smith is a Cubs fan. Sorry.
Yes.
Now, the reason I know this is because he is my cousin by marriage. And I know he follows and he likes and I don't know how many shows he's actually listened to, but he followed the rules. I mean, he was qualified. This promotion was for Cardinal Nation, but it went out to everybody. So anybody who did this was eligible to do it.
I cannot tell you how happy I am.
So Tim Smith, yes, and this, you're right. I think you have a few less numbers than I do, though. Or did you take it from that document I gave you?
The list you sent me had 30 names.
Okay. So, those are the 30 who did this. So I'm going to draw one more out here. Congratulations, Tim. Son of a Cub fan had to ruin my night here. All right, here we go. I'm sure he's going to want a T-shirt with me right here,
biting his nipple.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I'm gonna settle something here. I think it was Alex Stinnett of Cardinal Nation who made that joke. And or wise ass. Look,
Ron's gonna point out where his nipples are.
All right. So here and here, I am not biting, and nor is Peter. So I don't know what kind of nipple position you have, buddy.
Well, if you got a push up.
But right? We think these things through. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
You can't lift and separate. It's gotta. So you could be.
Thank you for the visual. Thank you for that contribution to that.
You know what? I tell you what. I'll run down to the casino. I'll grab one of the cocktail waitresses and have her demo better how it's physically possible.
All right, hurry up. All right, hold on. I'm gonna grab one more. This is winner number 3. Winner number 3. Fish around a little bit. Pull one out. I pulled this one out from the bottom. And who do we have? Michael Wright. Michael Wright.
Congratulations, Michael. Mr. Wright, as it were.
Michael Wright, congrats, buddy. And everybody else, this will not be the last time we'll ever do this, but for right now, I wish we had enough to go around to everybody. But these are out of pocket, man.
This is the last time we do this until Ron figures out how he can ensure that a Cubs fan doesn't get a T-shirt in a Cardinals drawing.
I should have blocked it, man. I should have done it. But Judy Pierce, Michael Wright, Tim Smith, guys, thank you. Thank you for sharing our podcast, for one. Thank you for following it. Thank you for liking it. It helps us out tremendously. So continue to do that. And I'll ask everybody to do this. And I might regret this because Tim's on this list. When you do get it, we wouldn't mind a selfie or something, Don and the Team of Rivals threads and share that with us. We'd love to put that up on the website.
Yeah, we can throw it up on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all of our various channels.
Everything. We're everywhere. We're everywhere. All right, back to that was great deals of fun. Let's get back to some baseball talk here. Eric Hosmer. What's that?
I said, see what you're missing, Elliot? Well, hang on. Have we wrapped up the remaining free agents? Because
no, there was Cobb and Moustakas. We probably should go ahead and hit on those. So yeah, quick
one thing. And obviously, Cobb and Moustakas and Lynn, they're going to land somewhere. Right. And Jonathan Lucroy will probably land somewhere on a contract that's maybe a little under what he's hoping for.
Right.
But one of the things that has annoyed me with the coverage of this, and I'm glad that they've stopped saying the number of free agents that haven't signed. But one of the things that's annoyed me on the coverage of this offseason, this slow offseason, is this constant assumption that because there are 130 free agents, that all 130 of them are going to sign with baseball teams. And some of these guys, it's the market and it's Major League Baseball telling them it's time to hang them up, fellas. You're no longer a major leaguer. Sorry. But there are other more useful players at a better value to all 30 Major League Baseball teams than to sign you. And it's a tough conversation to have, I know, but it's time.
Well, right. No, and I think so, Pete. In this season, more than any, how much of a change are we seeing happening right now? I mean, we knew this was starting to get to be a young person's game. We were predicting that. The formula that a lot of teams are trying is they're trying to build from within. There's a much higher value on cost control than there had been in the past. And those guys they're unfortunately, right? Guys that are hitting their mid-30s, they're going to be met with a lot more resistance. They're facing tougher headwinds than they ever have right now of continuing your career beyond that point. So
And I'll tell you, for me, it's something that I've never understood when it comes to sports.
Mhm.
You and I do not get paid on our past performance, right? We're getting paid on the expectation of what we are going to produce. And if we don't produce, we either get a pay cut or we get let go.
Yep.
These guys, for years, for decades, have been paid based on past performance. And Major League Baseball, I think, is the first professional sport, and I think the others will catch up, that is finally saying, we're not going to do that anymore. We're going to pay you based on what we expect to get from you. And I think that I think we're going to see a lot more of the contracts that we've seen late in this free agency period in the future, where it's 2 or 3 years and then there's an opt-out. And all the money is front-loaded because they're willing to take the risk on those first 2 or 3 years being a bust. What teams are no longer willing to take a risk on is that a contract 6-7 years out, still paying a guy $20, $25, $30 million when he's long past his prime, and when you're signing him that he's long past his prime, is going to end up being a bust. I think it's going to become more and more common.
Yeah, it is. And speaking of that, you basically just laid out Hosmer's contract, right? It's front loaded up through the year. He can choose to opt out. So he signed an 8-year deal, which I'm okay. I think originally San Diego and Kansas City had offered up 7, but he ended up with an 8-year deal. And I know it's front loaded, and then there's an opt out. His remaining years are $13 million now. If we go out, here's the thing, Pete. Like 10 years ago, we would have thought, somebody making X amount. Gosh, in 5 years, imagine what they would make. So maybe that's a good deal. Like you know how this usually goes. Somebody signs a 10-year contract for $25 million a year, and they're like, "Yeah, but man, imagine by like years 5, 6, what guys are going to be paid. So that might be a value by then." Man, not so much anymore, right? So I actually don't think this was a bad deal on San Diego's part because they did front load it. They're nowhere near the luxury tax threshold anyway. So. For them, if he can maintain any kind of consistency and limit his fall off at those later years, that actually might be a deal for them. It might be a deal for them if he stays. Now, if he thinks he's good enough to opt out and get more than $13 million a year for the remainder of that deal or average annual value, then he could walk at that point. But he is gonna be a little bit older.
And I will tell you, he's going to be a really interesting one to watch because he's one of the guys that analytics don't love, right? They look at
you're right. They dog on him all the time. Yeah,
right. And he's an average player, but scouts love him. Yeah. People who actually just watch baseball and base their judgment on that love Eric Hosmer. So it'll be interesting to see how he produces in 3 or 4 years, because I think that he really is ultimately going to be a test case for how baseball moves forward in the future. If he proves that contract wrong and he proves the conventional wisdom about him wrong, I think it's going to cause a lot of front offices to rethink things. But if he doesn't, and he does what everybody expects and he regresses to the mean, I think it's going to push more and more clubs in this direction when it comes to contracts. And it's not just Hosmer. I don't know if you caught it in the last couple of days, but JD Martinez's contract finally got finalized after there was a little bit of a hiccup with some injury concerns. He's got 3 opt-outs after years 2, 3, and 4. So, I mean, I really do think, and we discussed it when the Cubs signed Darvish, I think that this front-loading contracts and putting in player opt-outs early in the contract term is going to become commonplace.
Yeah, well,
and I don't think that
it already has.
It's terrible.
It already has.
You're right, and I don't think it's a terrible thing for clubs because, okay, so you get Darvish to overperform in the first 3 years of his contract, and he decides to leave. Fine, he's going back out on the market when he's probably not going to be as good a pitcher as he is right now.
Yeah.
So fine, we got more than value out of you in those 3 years.
Well,
we were able to sign for more.
Yeah.
Great. We both got what we wanted out of this contract.
Right. So let me go back and correct myself a little bit. I mean, I think opt-outs are more common now, especially when you see big deals signed, but multiple opt-out options. You're right. We may see a lot more of that actually happen, which, as a fan, you might go, oh boy, man, I don't want to lose this player after 2 or 3 years. I just bought a jersey. But
don't buy a jersey.
Yeah, right. Or buy one that has Velcro on the back and you can just switch out numbers and names. I don't know why.
Or buy a jersey.
Under Armour, you got the license now. Are you listening?
Buy a jersey with the can't miss prospect as soon as he gets called up, right? Anybody who bought Chris Bryant's jersey when he got called up is happy because they're going to get 7 years out of that jersey.
You get a good amount of time to wear that thing. But
don't buy free agent jerseys. That's the moral of this story.
Going forward, don't do it. It's not worth it. And even if they stay, you don't want it.
Unless you're getting that free agent at the end of their career like Grandpa Rossi, because you know he's going to either retire or die in that jersey anyway. And so then the jersey becomes a classic.
Right. Now, speaking of the Padres, so I got my own beef with the Padres. Now, I like Eric Hosmer. Maybe I agree with what the scouts say about him, about just his, his charisma that he had with Kansas City, the love that the fan base had for him. I at one point in time thought, well, if the price is right, why would the Cardinals not want to bring in a somewhat of a cornerstone-ish type of player? But okay, well, maybe you can get same production for a lot less. Fine, fair enough. So I've always liked the player, but I have grown to dislike the organization he signed with, and here are my reasons. Cardinal fans that follow the minor league system, follow what happens in the Rule 5 draft, follow what happened in the spring, know that the Padres are a bottom-feeding, scavenger-esque. They are scrappers, and not in a good way, right? And so they have plucked 2 guys from the Cardinals farm system via the Rule 5 draft, and now they got the latest one that they had to boot off the 40-man roster when Bud Norris was signed. And so let me tell you this, San Diego, at some point in time, you may look at Mo and his sweaters, Mo and his bow ties, his calculated demeanor.
Hey, go easy on that bow tie. It's a classy look.
I still can't let it go. But you may look at him and go, I can't imagine this is a guy that's going to come after me. But I'm telling you right now, he's writing something down in a little tiny moleskin book. And at some point in time, it is going to come back. Whether he's with the Cardinals organization or not, he is going to stick it to you. When Mo, whatever organization he's with, and I'm looking at you, Padres fans, I don't look up at this camera often because it's up higher. I have to look up. I have to put effort into this. I'm telling you right now, San Diego, I don't care who he's with. The day Mo sticks it to you on a Rule 5 draft, a trade, steals one of your free agents, screws you in some way, shape, or form, I am going to wear a bow tie on the show that week. I'm going to, in celebration of somebody sticking it to you. You scumbag pieces of shit. Develop your own system. I'm done.
Kind of like that.
Yeah.
It's a new angle.
That was it. It's going to happen. I'm telling you.
I can't wait to see it.
All right. I used to live there. So
it's beautiful there.
Beautiful. I loved in boot camp how they put boot camp right next to the airport, so you could see the planes flying away and wishing you were on one.
Hey, but
another reason I love San Diego.
At least it was 70 degrees and sunny.
True. All right. So enough of the Padres.
The other year.
It's like Hawaii. All right. So that was, we covered the O thing off earlier because we had the hot take from Braden calling in. So Pete, this is where we get into our, just for a second here. I've been thinking about this week, and I know that every time the pace of play talk has come up, the proposals, the ideas, we've always kind of, we're mostly on the same page with these things that, we're kind of crotchety about the way we like our game. And we don't want to see change come to it. But I'm asking you, out of some of these proposals that have been put out on the table, like, would they be that bad? What are the things that have changed that you were resistant to, but they ended up kind of being something that you forgot about or ignored? And are we being that way in a way? I'm thinking about the younger generation, which you know very well. You're in the education system, and you have been for a while, so you know this generation. Probably a lot better than I do. But by the nature of my work, I have to understand demographics, and I have to understand what generations, what their tendencies are, what their habits, what their trends, what they like and dislike. So are we being unreasonable? take something like the pitch clock. Like, what is our resistance to that? Why would it be so terrible to implement a pitch clock in baseball? The average time between, I think, pitches last year was 22 seconds. Why would it be so awful to implement a 20-second clock?
Well, here's where I have a problem with it. What's your goal in implementing all of this? Is it to shorten games? Because that means nothing. And we've talked about this a lot.
We've talked about that.
And it seems to me that Rob Manfred, and he clearly is the one pushing this, him and his broadcast partners. He hasn't really set forward a clear agenda, right? He says he wants to improve pace of play, but in saying that he's going to hold off on the clock, he's only going to do that if the average time of a baseball game drops below 3 hours. Well, there is no connection between pace of play and length of game, right? You can have a very snappy game, but it goes 14 innings and the teams score in every one of the extra innings, but it runs 3.5 hours, but the pace of play is great. There's no definite connection between the two, right? They're not directly correlated that a slowly played game means a long game, or that a quick game that is short in duration means that the pace of play is quick. The two can be completely independent of each other. And that's where I think that he's screwing up his focus. So put a pitch clock in? Yeah, absolutely. You really want to increase pace of play? Call the strike zone as it's written in the rules. That's going to increase pace of play because you're going to get fewer of these calls. And also get on your umpires to be more consistent with their strike zones. That's going to change pace of play because then you're not going to get guys like John Lackey stomping around the mound because he didn't get a strike call on a pitch that yesterday was a strike and today isn't because you have a different umpire. In fact, if you really want to fix that, stop rotating the umpires around the bases. Have 30 or have 15. Well, you probably need more. Have 20 home plate umpires in the umpires association. Have 20 third base umpires. Have 20 second base umpires. Have 20 first base umpires, and have them become experts then on the rules at their plate, at their bases. Then you don't have to keep all of those rules in your head. You only have to know what's relevant at your base. Yes, of course, you're going to have a crew chief, and he kind of has to know everything, and they're all going to know everything anyway. But if you're just a home plate umpire, you're going to become really good at calling the strike zone. And players are going to know what to expect in an upcoming series because your crew is working that series, and they know what the strike zone is going to be for this umpire. And so things become more predictable, and the game's going to speed up. I have no objection to a pitch clock, but I don't think that it solves the problem. 2 seconds, really? 2 seconds? You're talking about what, 300 pitches a game, roughly? So let's say that you shave off 2 seconds. That's 600 seconds. That's 10 minutes. But that's not necessarily going to actually happen. It's not going to necessarily come out of the game.
Yeah. So I think it would be, I think it would be interesting just to see what the impact would be. And like other things that have happened in sports where, we didn't have them, then we had them. And then all of a sudden we kind of forgot about it and it wasn't a nuisance anymore, and I'll put one out there, some of the instant replay calls that they do have. And I know some of them go long and they get really annoying, but I mean, I think at times, I think we do appreciate the fact that they're reviewing a home run. Especially when it gets in the late innings. I like the fact that they're reviewing. Now, the NFL might be a terrible example to bring up right now because the NFL still can't figure out what a catch is, right? Or explain it. But I do appreciate in late games that they review these things. And I think we just come to get used to it. And kind of the anticipation and watching the replay over and over again and seeing what the officials are actually going to rule on has become almost a mini sport within a sport itself. Just everybody sitting around talking about those things. So it is interesting that some of those things that have been implemented, we've kind of forgot about. Last year, I know that you had some pretty strong opinion about just the automatic intentional walk, whereas I didn't. But I don't know that the baseball fan community was in much uproar one season after that was implemented. And so it's just interesting to see a pitch. You're right. We don't have a clock in a game. And people who make that point, it's the only major sport that doesn't have a clock. Boy, I don't know. I mean, is golf not a major sport? Do we have a clock on that? Do we have a clock on tennis? Do we have a clock on anything else? I mean, we time things, right? Like we time.
Golf and tennis are not major sports.
Right. Well, yeah, they're considered not major sports until Tiger Woods is doing good.
But he's not anymore.
Yeah. Well, he's supposed to be on a comeback trail.
And even then, people didn't watch golf tournaments for 12 hours or however long
you don't work with some of the people I used to work with. Let me tell
you. But they're the exceptions, right?
You might be.
They're not handing out contracts the size that they're handing out for football, baseball, hockey, and basketball.
No, they're making those things off endorsements and everything else. Yeah, their winnings in those tournaments aren't what other contracts are like. So, but anyway, it's like I just when I hear that argument, I'm like, well, other sports don't need that, major or not. PGA is not a small sport. NASCAR is not a small sport. They don't have a time limit on races. They time races, but they don't have a time limit on races. And so that argument to me is just a little bit silly. Now, the question is, how do you measure pace of play, right? Because there's length of game, which is a point you've made, and then there's pace of play. Like, what is the barometer for that? I mean, you're right. I mean, what is the angle? What is the goal? If you're strictly like in a silo looking at game time or game length and thinking that that's how you're going to measure the success of what you've implemented or not, I agree with you that I think that's the wrong thing to do. But I still wonder that what changes can be made to improve or to capture the short attention span that we accuse the younger generation of having. Are they entertained at all moments of the game? And if not, do we lose them? 3 or 4 generations from now, is this sport in jeopardy 40 years from now because it moves slower? That's the real question. I think that might be his concern or others' concern, or is baseball always going to remain just baseball? We can't assume that. We can't assume that because we've grown up in a certain context and others aren't going to. So I don't know. It got a little philosophical this week. I had too much time at night to think on my own, and that's.
Well, here's the problem that I have with it is that people act like it's only been a recent thing that baseball is no longer the popular sport that it was. Baseball hasn't been America's most popular sport since the 60s. That's when football surpassed it, and it's been that way ever since. So to pretend that there was suddenly a problem, I think is misguided.
Well, football's got its own problems right now.
And football has its own problems. In fact, if you were to ask me 40 years from now, which one's going to be gone, I would put all my money on football.
I would too. Because I can't tell you how many parents I hear now that say they're just not going to let their kids play that.
Yep. And
even I think football players have come out with that.
Yeah, and I think that the culture has its sights set on football. So I think it's only a matter of time. But I mean, if you want to improve pace of play, I think there are a lot of things you can do. Obviously, if it was me, the first thing that I would fix is the umpires. But there are, I think, a lot of other things that you can do that don't necessarily involve radical changes. I don't think you need to implement a pitch clock. I think the umpires just need to take a little bit more control of the game. And I'm not talking about taking control of the game like some of them do in order to make it an ump show. They just need to take control of the game. And, if you have a guy who's wasting time in between pitches and walking around the mound and finding anything else that he can do except toe the rubber and throw to home, then the umpire can do something about that. Similarly, if you have a guy who steps out and he has to readjust his wristbands and his batting gloves and knock the mud out of his cleats and, readjust his grip and everything, tell him get back in. And if he doesn't, then there are things you can do, right? I mean, that I think probably wastes just as much time as supposedly too many mound visits or too much time taken in between pitches. The umpires can absolutely reassert themselves when it comes to something like this. And there are other things that I think can be done in order to speed things along. I just don't think that things that to this point that Manfred has proposed actually get down to addressing pace of play. They address time of games, and again, like you said, those are two completely different things.
Yeah, You know, a good person, a person I would love to ask this question would actually be my brother-in-law who pitched in the minor leagues for the Cardinals. I'd love to get his take on how he would have felt about having a 20-second pitch clock put on there from the time
when
the
did
pitch.
his career end? Because they've had it in the minors for a number of years.
Boy, that's a good question. I want to say 2008, and I could be wrong. 2008 or 9. I don't think it was there then.
No, I'm pretty sure it wasn't.
But it'd be interesting to ask. Like, I know I played organized baseball, but not at a professional level, and I know that 20 seconds in between pitches to me sounds like a really long time. That's more than enough time to get a signal from the third base coach to do whatever you have to do. I mean, 15. They have to be back in the box 5 seconds before that. They have to be back in the box within 15 seconds, within 5 seconds of the pitch clock expiring. Right.
Right.
That's how they're stating it. And I'm telling you guys, that's an eternity. That's a long time. Anybody who needs more time than that's just no way.
I looked it up. They implemented pitch clocks in the minors in 2015, so he wouldn't have pitched.
Yeah, he wouldn't have been exposed to that.
20 seconds is a lot of time.
It feels like a lot. You're right. Yeah, it feels like a lot of time. And so but still,
or did use something, whether it's throw over to first or motion to second, whatever. But yeah, I agree. 20 seconds is a lot of time.
So the other thing, this is actually, I'm surprised to hear this. This was something that it kind of evolved from the players union, because they were trying to throw out things to do that would increase the pace of play. And I just want you to imagine for 1 second. You don't have to close your eyes, but anybody listen, close your eyes. Just imagine this, right? Just think about this for a second. This is Padres game. You know what the sound is right here, and the bullpen starts to open. The doors, and out walks Trevor, or not out walks Trevor. Hold on, what? He's not walking. What the fuck? Hoffman's not walking out here skulking. He's not taking his strides to the mound. He's in a golf cart. Turn the music off right now. This sucks. Yeah, that was actually came from the players union. To reinstitute bullpen cards.
Only if they look silly.
Yeah, I know. That's where you were at. But I'm still thinking of a guy like Hoffman coming out, the hell's bells in a golf cart. Get out of here. That's players union's answer. That was that was a players union compromise right there. So anyway, I had to slip that in there. I like that song. I had one more thing on here, Pete, and that was the limited mound visits.
Yeah.
Or do they? I mean, signals have been in baseball forever.
Right.
It's so unreasonable to say that you can only visit one pitcher. One pitcher gets one visit per inning, either from a player or a coach or whatever. Is that so ridiculous?
You know what I would love to, more than the limited mound visits, I'd love to see, and we've discussed this before, I would love to see an implementation of a rule that a pitcher has to face at least 2 batters before they can come out. Because that's going to speed things along, right?
Yeah. No, I think it would, and it would actually it'd be interesting to see how that would change the dynamic. I mean, given who you bring in, right? Are you bringing in the guy who he's going to face, or are you really bringing him in for the guy after that? But you like his chances with both.
Exactly.
So that would be, that would be interesting to see how that would change the managerial decision making. The other thing I was thinking about too was, oh darn it, I just lost it. I had it up here. There was one more. I didn't have it in the notes. Damn it. There was another one that I just reminded myself of as you were talking, and now I've completely lost it. So I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
Maybe it'll come back to me. But yeah, no, the limited mound visit. I don't know that the common fan would even notice that there's a change there. Maybe we would, but no. Boy, it's really bothering me now. I liked the question that popped in my head, and I lost it. I was actually trying to find something on the iPad, so it's totally my fault.
So you got completely distracted.
I distracted myself all day long.
What were you looking at your iPad that you got?
I was trying to pull Boss Jock back up.
You don't have to explain. It's okay.
All right, I'm not going to. All right, buddy. So Elliot, I hope he had a great night out with his crew. We missed having you on here tonight, so I'd love to hear what he would have said about some of these topics. He's not as crotchety as we are.
No, he's not.
Elliot's a little more progressive, which is, that's why it would have been a good thing to get him onto this topic. But anyway, all right, Pete.
Ron. Folks, you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. On Twitter at Team of Rivals Podcast. On Instagram at Team of Rivals Pod. On Instagram at Team of Rivals Podcast. And on Facebook, you can just search for Team of Rivals Podcast. You also find us online at teamofrivalspodcast.com. Contact us at the show at teamofrivalspodcast.com. And then like, rate, review, share, do all that stuff that you like to do on the various media platforms, including YouTube, iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn, and Spotify. And if you want to contact him directly, you can always reach Elliot at @TOR_Elliot. ULTT.
All right, man. Well done on remote. You got your traveling mic on. Everyone, thank you for joining us again. Congratulations to the 3 winners. I already forgot your names. No, I didn't. Judy Pierce, Michael Wright, Tim Smith. You reach out to us, and if I don't hear from you, we'll reach out to you. But we'll definitely get you your shirts. You got your pick. Tim, don't pick one of the girls. Don't pick one of the women's for your wife. All right, it's for you. You're the one who did it. It's all you, buddy. All right, guys. We'll talk to you next week. Love you all so much. Bye, everyone.
Really? Really? I'm not even going to turn my camera back on.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. It's been a week.
I screwed up last week.
No, I mean, it's been a week since we recorded. There's no excuse. It's been a while since you screwed up. Okay. I think it's been 2 weeks. But it's not been a while since you've used Boss Jack.
Bye again.